Here's a controversial truth that will make you rethink everything you know about attraction. The more available you are, the less attractive you become. This is not opinion. This is hard neuroscience. When you are constantly accessible, responding immediately to every text, always free for last-minute plans, you are actually deactivating the exact neural circuits in his brain that create obsession and deep attachment. The male brain is wired through millions of years of evolution to pursue what appears scarce and valuable. Think about it from a purely biological standpoint. Our ancestors had to compete for limited resources, and the things that were hardest to obtain were valued most. Your availability is not kindness. It is psychological self-sabotage. Let me introduce you to the dopamine prediction error hypothesis, a concept that explains exactly why scarcity works at a chemical level. When a man expects to hear from you and does not, his brain experiences what neuroscientists call a reward prediction error. His ventral tegmental area, the dopamine production center, goes into overdrive trying to resolve this uncertainty. This is the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive and video games irresistible. The unpredictability creates a dopamine spike that is 200 to 300% higher than predictable rewards. When you are always available, you become a predictable reward, and predictable rewards cause dopamine levels to flatline. His brain literally stops producing the chemicals associated with excitement and desire. Now let us examine the economic principle of perceived value, which operates identically in romantic markets as it does in financial ones. Behavioral economists have proven through decades of research that humans assign value based on scarcity, not intrinsic worth. A diamond and water paradox illustrates this perfectly. Water is essential for life, but cheap because it is abundant, while diamonds serve no survival function but are expensive because they are rare. When you make yourself constantly available, you are signaling low market value regardless of your actual qualities. The male subconscious interprets availability as low demand from other potential partners. This triggers what psychologists call the common resource effect, where abundant resources are taken for granted and undervalued. The attachment theory framework, developed by psychologist John Bowlby, reveals something fascinating about how scarcity creates secure attachment in men. Contrary to popular belief, constant availability does not create security. It creates anxious or avoidant attachment patterns. When you introduce strategic scarcity, you activate what is called the intermittent reinforcement schedule, the most powerful conditioning mechanism known to behavioral psychology. This is why slot machines are more addictive than predictable rewards. Men with secure attachment styles will respond to this by increasing their investment and commitment because the uncertainty triggers their pair bonding instincts. His nervous system interprets the challenge as a signal that you are a high-value mate worth fighting for. Let us talk about the psychological concept of reactance theory, discovered by psychologist Jack Brame in 1966. When humans perceive their freedom as being threatened or limited, they experience an intense motivation to restore that freedom. In romantic contexts, when a man senses he cannot have complete access to you, his psychological reactance is triggered, creating an obsessive drive to regain what feels restricted. This is not manipulation. It is understanding fundamental human motivation. Studies using fMRI scans show that when access to a desired person is limited, the brain regions associated with craving and addiction light up with activity. The anterior cingulate cortex and the nucleus accumbens show patterns identical to those seen in substance dependency. The concept of opportunity cost from economic psychology explains why scarcity makes him choose you over other options. When something is scarce, the brain automatically calculates what it might lose by not acting quickly. Neuroscientist Paul Zak discovered that when men perceive a high-value woman might be pursued by others, their testosterone levels increase by up to 30%, triggering competitive mate-guarding behaviors. This is the biological legacy of intrasexual competition. When you are always available, there is no urgency, no fear of loss, and therefore no activation of his competitive instincts. His endocrine system remains dormant because there is no perceived threat to his access to you. Strategic scarcity activates his biological imperative to secure you before a rival does. Now we must address the mere exposure effect and its dangerous inverse relationship with attraction. Social psychologist Robert Zajonc found that repeated exposure increases liking, but only up to a critical threshold. Beyond that point, overexposure creates habituation, where the stimulus loses its emotional impact. In romantic contexts, this manifests as the partner taking you for granted. Neurologically, when the brain is exposed to the same stimulus too frequently, the amygdala's emotional response dampens, and the prefrontal cortex stops registering the stimulus as significant. This is why long-term couples often report feeling like roommates. By maintaining scarcity, you prevent habituation and keep the emotional centers of his brain actively engaged with your presence. The goal gradient hypothesis, established through behavioral research, shows that motivation increases as one approaches a goal. When you are always available, there is no goal to approach because you have already been obtained. But when you maintain strategic distance, you become an ongoing goal, and his motivation remains elevated. Studies tracking eye movement and attention show that men spend 40% more time focused on images of women labeled as hard to get versus easy to get, even when the images are identical. His visual cortex and attention systems are literally rewired by the perceived challenge. This sustained attention translates into deeper processing in the hippocampus, meaning he thinks about you more, remembers more details, and forms stronger neural associations with your presence. Let us examine the role of cognitive dissonance in attraction, a theory developed by Leon Festinger. When a man invests significant time, effort, or resources pursuing you, he experiences dissonance if he perceives you as low value. To resolve this uncomfortable psychological state, his brain automatically increases your perceived value to justify his investment. This is called effort justification, and it is a powerful mechanism. Research shows that people who work harder for something value it more, even if the outcome is identical to an easily obtained alternative. By not being instantly available, you force him to invest effort, which psychologically commits him more deeply. His brain literally cannot afford to see you as low value because it would mean admitting his effort was wasted. The neuroscience of anticipation reveals why the waiting period is often more powerful than the actual reward. Brain imaging studies show that the nucleus accumbens, your brain's reward center, is most active during the anticipation phase, not during reward consumption. When you delay gratification and maintain scarcity, you keep his brain in this high activation anticipation state. Dopamine floods his system during the waiting, creating a euphoric feeling he associates with you. This is why the early dating phase feels so intoxicating compared to later stages. By maintaining elements of scarcity, even in established relationships, through maintaining your own life, interests, and occasional unavailability, you can sustain this neurochemical cocktail indefinitely. The key is keeping his brain in a state of wanting rather than having. Social proof and preselection are powerful psychological triggers amplified by scarcity. When you have a full life with friends, hobbies, and commitments that sometimes take priority over him, you demonstrate social proof that others value your time. Evolutionary psychologists call this mate choice copying, where individuals use others' preferences as information about mate quality. Studies show that men rate women as significantly more attractive when they see other men interested in them. Your scarcity serves as evidence that you are in demand, which activates his competitive instincts and fear of losing you to another suitor. This is not about making him jealous. It is about demonstrating objective evidence of your high mate value through how you allocate your limited time. The contrast effect from perceptual psychology explains why your occasional absence makes your presence more impactful. When you are always there, your presence becomes the baseline, and he stops noticing the positive aspects of being with you. But when you introduce absence, his brain experiences a stark contrast that heightens his appreciation. Neuroscientific research shows that the brain processes information through comparison and contrast, not absolute values. The same experience feels more intense when contrasted with its absence. This is why people appreciate health most after being sick, or freedom most after being confined. By strategically managing your presence and absence, you hack this percept system to make every interaction feel more valuable and emotionally charged than if you were constantly available. Finally, let us address the ultimate goal, triggering what attachment theorists call the pair bond formation cascade. This is the neurochemical sequence where oxytocin, vasopressin, and dopamine create lasting romantic attachment. Research shows this cascade is most powerfully triggered not by constant contact, but by cycles of separation and reunion. The longing during separation primes the system, and the reunion triggers massive neurochemical release. This is why long-distance relationships often report higher relationship satisfaction, and why military couples describe intense bonding. The scarcity principle, when applied correctly, mimics this natural attachment mechanism. You are not playing games. You are aligning your behavior with the fundamental neurological architecture of human pair bonding. The science is clear. Scarcity does not push men away. It pulls them into deep, committed, obsessive love.